Hi, fantasy book lovers, TGIF. This is Thank Gods It's Fantasy Podcast. We are Kayla, Veronica, and Bryanna, three best friends who love talking about all things books, from the romance, the conflict, and of course, morally gray men. Every 2 weeks, we will be getting together to talk about our theories, opinions, and reviews of our current read. Please read along, join in, and be one of our book besties too. Welcome to our show, and thanks for joining us. In this episode, we'll be discussing the first book of the Crowns of Nyaxia duology, which is a small part of a bigger series. But this book is called The Serpents and the Wings of Night, written by Carissa Broadbent. Before we start, we'd like to make our usual disclaimer that many of the things we might discuss may be more suitable for mature audiences. We're all adults here, so if explicit language or content is not for you, then turn back while you still can. Okay, so if you like vampires, magic, banter, a stabby female lead, touch her and die, enemies to lovers, slow burn, lost and found families, epic trials, then you need to read this because I was hooked, I think, at like 9% of this book. I was like, you guys, we need to read this. And I kind of hated that it took us so long to read it. But also, there's other, I think isn't there a third book?
Yeah, third one is coming out. It's the start of the next duology within the series. My understanding is it takes another character within the series, or is at least within the same world. And then I think it's going to be like a different pairing.
Yeah.
Is my understanding. Don't quote me.
No,
kind of like what Sarah J. Maas is doing.
Yes.
Also, like creating other pairings within the world.
Exactly. Correct. That's exactly how I was thinking of it. But yes, this had all the things that I talked about plus more, and I felt like I was very captivated from the beginning and very excited to read this. And I was telling, I think both of you, that I was taking my time reading the last like 10% because I didn't want to have to wait to read the next book, because I'm like, I just need to like savor these last little bits before I can't read them anymore. So I am excited that after this I'll be able to start reading the next one.
Well, yeah, and that last 10%.
Oh my gosh.
Say,
we'll get there. There. We don't have to jump there yet.
That was a hard one to go slow
pace.
Through.
Yeah.
There are definitely a lot of names and words that we might be butchering in this little podcast because there's a lot of J's at the end of words and X's and things that just might not come out the way they're supposed to. So we apologize. This is just...
I will say I did listen to part of this book, so I might be a little helpful on some of them. I won't say I remember all of them. I really won't, because I still filter it in my brain.
Yeah, you still look at it and you're like, got it. And then you move on. You're like, that's the word. I see it, and that's it.
No. But I was trying with this one because I knew there was a lot of interesting spellings at the very least.
Yes. Okay, so this book, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, is set in Obertrace. In Obertrace, there are 3 houses: Blood, Shadow, and Night. And currently the House of Night, which is ruled by the Hiaj king, whose name is Vincent, he has been in power for the last 200 years because he participated in a trial called the Kajari trial or tournament or something like that, where there is one winner, and one winner is blessed by their goddess Nyaxia, who will grant them any wish or whatever they desire.
Does that only happen once every 200 years?
No, it says it happens every century. But that was weird because in the beginning it said that this was the most exciting thing to have happened in the last 200 years by the human Ilana, Oraya's best friend.
Yeah.
Because I was confused and I looked that up.
What number was it? It was like the 21st one or something?
And the last one was Vincent, because she says the last time that someone was standing here, it was Vincent. So
that's why maybe it's every 1 to 200 years, maybe.
It seems like it's pretty sporadic, but they had like a general idea of when it was going to be happening.
Yeah.
Because they were preparing and making their vows.
They were making their blood offerings so they could participate, and you had to do it by a certain time. So yeah, that was one of the things that I got conflicting information from, because one definitely said it was once every 200 years and the other one was like, oh, this is a once in a century kind of thing. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So
They skipped a century.
maybe with all the wartime that was happening, who knows?
Maybe Vincent didn't
Yeah, it just
allow
didn't
it,
happen.
but I don't know that he would have a say in that. It seems like a Nyaxia thing.
Yeah.
I think this whole concept of this trial was pretty cool in that all the little separate trials in between, or like that are a part of it, walk you through what Nyaxia had to go through, like her life's journey to get to where she was as this powerful goddess to the vampires. So there's 5 trials in this tournament. There's a full moon trial, the waning trial, half moon trial, crescent trial, and then the new moon trial. And I think it's every 3 weeks generally is like how often it happens. And so that's just how that goes. Anyway, so then we go into meeting like our main characters. There's Oraya. I don't know what her last name is.
She doesn't know her. I mean, they just call her Oraya of the House of Night.
Yes,
because
you're right.
She doesn't know her last name because she doesn't know who her parents are.
So Oraya is our main female character. We find out she was adopted by the Hiaj
She was
king.
8. She was old enough to know these things.
She was 3.
She wasn't like 2.
She was 3.
I thought she was 8.
He said he didn't know how old she was. Like she could have been 3 or 8. Like he couldn't tell because she was so small.
That's right. He wasn't sure.
Because she's 23,
what her age was.
and after she was found, it had been 20 years later.
Oh, I thought she was 28 this whole time.
No, she's 23. She was adopted by the Hiaj king Vincent, who had found her in Saline, something, a place.
Salinite? I don't know.
I can't remember how they said it.
An S place.
I can find it real quick.
But she was found in this town, country, city, territory. We'll say she was found in this Raihn territory, which Raihn is a whole other kind of vampire breed. She was found there in all this destruction because there was a bit like wartime, and she was the only living thing in this death zone area.
I mean, they didn't really touch on anything else. Just, I mean, the fact she has her dreams where there's so many warriors, it's blotting out the sky, and it looks like, crawling bugs, basically, because there's so many of them. So, like, yeah, that's kind of the impression I got. But what's interesting, I mean, I guess it's been 200 years because it fully built itself back up since when she was taken. Oh no, it hasn't been 200 years. It's only been 20. It's been 20 years, and it's built itself back up because they said at one point that this was like the second or third largest city in is it Obatray still?
Sure. Anyways, so Vincent found her in the middle of this like blown up place in Saline, and his soldiers were about to eat her because she's human and they're vampire. He said, no, I'm taking her home. And he calls her Little Serpent because she bites everybody.
She bit him and she bit the guards.
Cute. Yes. And I'm all about biting, so I think maybe that's one of the reasons.
You're like, I instantly like this character.
She's
both stabby and bitey, so we really like have hit our little checks for our main female character.
Yeah, I loved it. Okay, and then Vincent is her dad, who is the Hiaj king. He came into power after he participated in the Kijari 200 years ago. He won, and he wanted to be the most powerful. Either way, he took over. He ended up assassinating all his own heirs, anyone who could take over for him, and then he also killed all of the Raihn, who are the other vampires that reside within the Obatrace.
I think it's interesting that there are these two like races within the House of Night, like the Hiaj and the Raihn. Is there not within the House of Blood and the House of Shadow? Like, do they have different races within them also?
I don't know if the House of Blood does, because they were able to participate in the Kijari, but they didn't mention any other race from the Bloodborne homes or houses.
Mm-mm.
And then I really don't remember a lot of people from the Shadowborn homes either.
Mm-mm.
Or houses.
No, they just died a lot. I was like, well, there's another Shadowborn that died.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we'll learn about them more in the next books. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that specifically the House of Night has these two races within them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like the descriptions that they have of these two vampire races, specifically the Hyaj and the Rishon. The Hyaj, I felt like had more demon-like wings, and then the Rishon had more angel-like wings. They were all black or whatever, but
Hunt and Reese. Hunt and Reese.
You're like, mm-hmm.
That was, I mean, it was the Bat Boys, and then
the Angel Babies,
the Angels in Crescent City. I was like, that's all I could get in my head. That's all I could think about.
I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, the way she described them was very like one or the other.
I think you're right. Like the Hyaj seem like they have bat wings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were like membranous or whatever, and easy to cut through, where the other ones were more like feathered and harder to
thick.
yeah.
So yeah, Vincent killed everybody, and now he's been in rule for the past 200 years. He adopts Oraya, and he loves her in his own way, and he's always been protecting her and try to like build her up to be strong, but also unfeeling, because feelings can hurt you kind of situation, which I don't know how I feel about all that. Like, I get that we got to protect ourselves, but he really just said, turn off all your feelings. Again, kind of like the Vampire Diaries saying, just don't feel anything. And then
turn it off.
I think
fear is just a response. How did she word it?
It's just a physical response, right? Yeah.
Like it's a combination of physical reactions.
Yeah, she's like, gotta slow down the heart, gotta slow down. I was like, what? This girl wild. I wish I had that level of control over my body.
I think it's because he understands that vampires are like, they are created to take in their prey. So like, they're beautiful, they're charismatic, they're all these things and uncaring themselves. So he knows, like, as a human girl, you're probably going to get sucked into it. So the only way that I can protect you is to make you so scared all the time that you're always on your guard and you trust no one but me.
I know.
Because everyone else is going to hurt you but me.
Which just feels a little manipulative.
Totally.
But, you know, whatever.
But like I said, I told V this earlier. I had very mixed feelings about Vincent. I like loved the aspect of like this super powerful vampire that has this soft spot for this human girl that he obviously wholeheartedly loves in his own way. Yes. But yet he did a lot of fucked up shit that you're like,
I mean, I feel like this feels very similar, though, to the last book. It's just a very gray character. There's aspects of him that you were made to like, because he does. Clearly cared about her. And even she so battled with, okay, I love him and he's my dad, but oh my God, he's done some fucked up things and I do not agree with all of it. Like, she was even having that like wishy-washy feeling. So, I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to feel is like, wait, I liked him, but like, I don't.
Yeah.
He's bad.
The author did a really great job at getting you to feel like, oh my gosh, like you feel that tenderness from the dad, and you can see that he cares for her. But then she also, in her own way, made us like kind of weary. Like there's something like
he flips his own switch a lot. He has his she says it. He puts his king face on, which is ruthless, cold, take no prisoner, essentially, and then he softens, and then you see his dad face. So like, he very much has these two sides, and I think the entire world other than her only sees his king face all the time. He never ever lets that slip, except for with her.
I feel like that can be said for most people, though. Like, people have their work face, or they have like their public face, which mine is an RBF one, and then they have their home one, where they're more comfortable and
Yeah.
then they can show a little bit more affection, but then sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
when your work comes into your home life to separate the two. So,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I said I
Yeah.
really do think that our author did a really great job getting us to feel those things for Vincent
I agree.
with Oraya at the same time.
I had a hard time believing that he had no ulterior motive for wanting her to go into the Kajari other than wanting her to like save herself and be powerful and not be vulnerable anymore. But even to now, knowing like what happens at the end, I still don't like quite know what that is, other than like if he somehow instinctually knew that she was going to be powerful, but she had never shown that to him. So like how would he know that she had this power in her? Because that's kind of what's hinted at, is like, well, then he would get her power the same as she would get his power. But I don't know. I always just felt this like there's got to be another reason.
I don't know
that he's pushing her into this death match.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was just a control thing.
I thought it was.
I don't even necessarily.
I thought it was just to really.
But it makes
protect
her a threat.
Yeah, but
it makes her a threat.
Now,
why would he want her as powerful as him?
No, so that's just the thing.
It's eradicated his whole family.
It's a bond. Okay, so if Oraya,
yeah, so I don't like she can't kill him.
Yes.
He can't kill her. It's like this mutual, and so because I mean, with his years on her, like I think he would just have more control of the powers regardless, and always be able to one up her for the most part.
Then maybe that's what it ultimately is he loves her. If he is her biological father, he knew she was going to be his heir because she's the only one he has. He hasn't turned anyone or anything else. He knew she was going to be his heir. So this is his way of not having to murder her when she comes into her power, is she's able to be powerful with him and basically rule with him, but not be a threat to him because she can't hurt him.
Correct. So
that makes sense.
Oraya, if she won the Kajari trial, she wanted to become Vincent's Coriate, which means his heart bound.
Yeah.
And this Coriotis bond was a very like powerful thing, and it was only granted like a handful of times in history, and it only can be granted by the goddess Nyaxia. But Oraya had a hard time facing her weaknesses as a human, so this bond would basically strip away her humanity, which she hated having because she had no control of her feelings. She was always scared and trying to protect herself and like hiding in corners so that, she would make herself small and unseen as much as she could. But this would basically make her a vampire without the risk of like turning, because because if you were being turned, the chances of you dying are pretty high. And
it's 1 in 3,
and or going insane.
Yes.
It sounded like it was kind of both. Like if you were successful in turning, a lot of times you didn't keep your mind.
Yes. And so you would basically get to turn and have all this power without actually having to face all the consequences of it. But it would bind their souls together, hers and Vincent's, and then his power would be hers and hers would be his. And they were just basically sharing this, like their heart, I feel like.
Which that would have been wild to see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going to happen with someone, I feel like. You don't bring something like that up and then like have it not happen with anyone. I honestly thought at the end she was going to do that with Raihn instead of with Vincent. To save him.
That's what I thought was going to happen too. I didn't think that she was just going to bring him back to life.
No. Yeah. I thought that she was going to do that. And then that's not what happened.
Speaking of Raihn Ashraj, he is our main male character, and he turned vampire a little over 200 years ago, and he was 31 when he turned. I think he was involved in a shipwreck, and he was like on the verge of death, and a vampire found him on a shore and said, "Do you want to live?" And he's, "Well, yeah, I got a wife and a kid coming. Save me." But I don't think he realized what that entailed.
No. Obviously not.
And I think it took him, if I remember, it took him months to be over the turning symptoms. So
correct. And then he was
a prisoner for 80 years.
Getting God knows what kind of torturous things happening to him.
What was your impression of what was happening to him, Brie? V and I talked about this a little bit, but did you feel like it was?
Well, I've already read the second book, so I can't
Oh,
get
thanks.
into it because they do kind
Okay.
of get into it.
I, without you answering, I kind of got the impression that it was both physical and sexual. V got the impression that it was.
I mean, I got that impression the first read,
but
also.
V got the
Like,
impression
I
it
was
was
like,
just
ooh.
physical.
I thought maybe like mental and physical more than just sexual, because the way I was telling Kayla about it, I was like, there's different ways to like torture someone in their body. Yes, some of us, like, our minds just go straight to that because that's like the most, to me, that would be the most horrific thing that you could do to my body. But to other people, it could be pulling out your nails,
Something
or
Yeah.
yeah, something. People have their own kinks. Who knows? Like, I don't know.
Some people have their weird tortures they couldn't.
I mean, but that's what they
tolerate.
said. Like, if you're a vampire, things
Yeah.
eventually, you just get numb to all the
Get
pleasures in
boring.
life. So then you find something that still works for you, and
Ugh.
maybe pulling
Yep.
out nails is it. I don't know, but
Did we have to use that one?
Gotta stop saying that. We gotta move on from that. Ugh, I
I
can't.
like it.
Then later on, we find out that who he was turned by, and that was. We'll get to that. That was. I did not know. I did not know. I did not predict the things that happened in the end. I was very shocked. I had no idea, but Kayla said
You
she knew
didn't
the whole
predict
time.
he was going to be heir?
No, I really thought that it was.
Oh,
I didn't even think of anything. Heir stuff.
100%.
And again, I didn't remember a lot of this book because I read this book, I mean, at least a year, or I mean, it's got to be over a year. So as I was reading, I was remembering things, but things did stick out to me because I had some inkling to what was coming. Again, there was a lot of bits and pieces. I was like, oh yeah. But I mean, the way he commands people with his friends, she never once asked him why he was doing it, which to me was a big red flag. Like, why are you doing it? Like, we know why she's doing it, and she finally reveals that to you, kind of begrudgingly. But we never find out why he's in the tournament. He wants to save a bunch of people. There was just a lot of little
I know.
things that you go,
And he's super powerful for a turned vampire.
But he
What was
Yeah.
holding me up the whole time was the fact that he was a slave and turned, because at that point we didn't realize that turned vampires are within that familial line, which any other vampire thing that you watch, yes, that makes sense. You're like, you've got your bond, whatever, with them. But I didn't realize that like that played into like the royal line and whatnot too, because that was throwing me off. I thought he was going to be like a long lost prince or something of the Rishon or whatnot, but I didn't anticipate that part, I guess. But I did 100% think he was going to be heir.
No, I did not. I thought that he really was in there because his best friend joined this damn tournament, and he's like, I can't let you do this. You're young and naive and think that the world is colored in roses. And so he was
But
just
that
a
shit makes
protector.
no sense, because only one person can survive it, and more than one person has never survived it before until this part. But it's only ever been one person. So why would you join it with your best friend?
No, but people were doing it with
You
their
know that-
brothers.
I know, but you know that one or yeah, but okay. It doesn't feel
People
like
were
the
doing it with
familial
their
thing
lovers.
is real big in this.
They were doing
Yeah.
it with their lovers.
Yeah, but that was like a whole but that was the bloodbound ones that like were doing it regardless because of their master telling them to. Like,
See, but that's why
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it, because I mean, like, whatever, you're there to protect somebody.
because there was enough weird combos that you were like, oh no.
Yeah.
no
I just
way."
think it's weird to like enter a battle of the death with your best friend knowing that like if you end up at the end you'd have to kill each other.
Well, I also thought that he
Yeah.
didn't like being a vampire, so he didn't really care. So
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
totally.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He kind of shows two sides of that. Like he has this like peacocking,
Oh yeah.
cocky side to him, and then this like I kind of hate what I am also side to him. So it's kind of hard to see.
He's
which
definitely
is
a
real.
vampire of many faces because he
Mhm.
acts out all his little hats very well.
Yeah, he likes to
y'all.
put on like performances, which is interesting.
Yeah, the performance at the end though got me even the second time I was like, ugh.
Oh, I
ugh.
hated that so much. I was
Yeah.
like, what the
Mhm.
fuck is happening? I knew that he was faking it because you can't read this entire book and like think that he actually flipped a switch like that.
I know, but it still
But
felt
it's
icky
real
because I mean
fucking
he had to
icky.
go real fucked up in that moment. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how gross that ended up being.
Yeah, that gave me the heebie-jeebies more than him telling
Mhm.
me, or not telling me. He obviously didn't tell me anything. Him saying that he was tortured by his slaver or whatever, the person who turned him. That end part really got me more than that his story did.
Mhm.
Well, because at that point you'd been
Fuck, I
suckered
was
into
so
that
suckered
thing.
in.
I mean,
Oh my god.
uh-huh. I know she did good with that one because that was just a lot of back and forth, hate to love type situation that it took some time.
Mhm.
Homegirl had a lot of trust issues and she just trusted him. And then to say shit like that, you're just like, oh, but she fell
I
for you.
know.
And then to still push her into it was also icky to me. I was I get where he was coming from, and in his mind he was like, we love each other, like this makes sense, like duh. I'm like, okay, but we like kind of just got there, but we're moving a little fast here, and you just killed her
Yeah.
fucking dad.
You're my wife
Oh.
now. Yeah. Also, I murdered your dad.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
and then she kind of forgives him weirdly quickly in that moment. Like she doesn't forgive him, but she like doesn't not forgive him at the end, and I was kind of like, you just murdered
she
the
loves him.
I know, but she just murdered the shit out of your dad.
Yeah, but he also
And
did
yes,
murder a whole
he was a bad guy.
civilization.
I know he's a bad guy, but I still kind of felt sad.
I was gonna say,
I still kind of felt bad about it. I don't
You're
know.
like,
I
I
was kinda
hate
sad.
Vincent.
Yep.
I had weird feelings about him, but God, they
I don't.
killed him,
I
and it
didn't
was
hate
really
him.
sad.
I honestly kind of liked him, and I was like on edge the whole time that he was going to end up being like way worse than he was. And so like when he makes those like allegations about what Vincent did to the queen, I was like, oh, that just didn't, like I told V this before, it just didn't click with him. It'll be interesting to see if that's actually true, because he basically was like, well, I can't confirm it, but she was the last one to die.
Watch, she's
That
not
just
dead.
didn't seem like his style. He just seemed like the murdery type. Like, I just murder everyone, not I'm gonna murder them and then some.
Yeah, but again, we were seeing it primarily from Araya's point of
Yeah.
view. We weren't ever really seeing
Rose-colored glasses. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
correct, we were seeing it through rose-colored glasses, and that was before her. So
Yeah.
like God only fucking knows what he was doing. I mean, he murdered his whole ass family and the whole other line.
Mhm.
We think he's above that. Like,
That's what I'm saying. To me, I just got murdery vibes. You know, usually I'm quick to be like, yeah, they seem like
True.
that nasty of a person, but I just didn't get those vibes from him. So I'm gonna be
You're
a
gonna
little
be me today.
disappointed if he's not just a mass murderer and he's.
I know she is really like kind of
Yeah.
pulling at you
I
today,
am.
where she's like, I just really
I
like
kind
him,
of
and
liked
why
him.
does he have to be that
I
bad?
don't know. Like, I had lots of feelings about him, but
Mhm.
ultimately, I kind of liked him.
Okay, speaking of like heirs and whole lines and stuff. But can we talk about what these more powerful vampire couples do to their heirs?
Oh,
The
like
mutilation that they do for
Ibrahim,
yeah.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
bad. See, that's why I'm saying familial lines don't seem like they mean anything to them. It's all about power. So they obviously saw that he was going to be super powerful, and he
Mhm.
still was, even mutilated. He was
Yeah.
a great warrior.
And great magic. He was a great magic wielder.
Yeah, like he probably could have won that had they not, torn his wings apart and ripped out his teeth.
Ugh.
But like, why even have children then? Why have heirs if you're so
Yeah.
threatened by them? They did say they're basically like rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's possible, but it's just weird.
But yeah. I just felt so bad for his
I
character.
know.
I know. He
I'm
really got
surprised
the
he lasted
shit
that
end of
long,
it.
honestly.
I know every time he would get through one, even though I was rereading, I was like, oh yeah, you really go the distance, dude. Like I forgot that you just keep going because he had been tortured.
Mhm.
Like
His
he's
whole
like,
life.
man, I can get through pretty much
His whole
anything.
life.
Yeah. But like the fact, especially that one trial where they had to get through the fog or whatever, and he just basically used his wings to do that because they were like, he was like, this is the most use I've gotten. I was like, oh
Yeah,
my
the
God,
like
it's so
acid mist.
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
He just let them like
that was
burn the crap out of
wild.
him, and he like lost an eye, I think, during that
Yeah.
one. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was a mess. I kind of thought that he would then be a bigger character because he went so long.
I
But
think
it-
he
no,
was
it
the
was just,
underdog
like-
that everyone was like surprised about all the time.
Yeah, aside from
I
her.
was worried about him turning on her the entire time, though.
Uh-huh.
I was like, he's gonna be the one who puts a knife in her back.
Yep.
Even though he seems like the nice guy and the one that's like everyone's not paying attention to, I thought he was gonna put a knife in her back the whole time.
I didn't think he was a nice guy. He gave me the creeps. I was like,
Oh.
you better watch out for this guy because
Yeah.
he's been hiding. He's been hiding his like
skills.
I don't like it. He gave me the creeps.
I just like that they were like kindred spirits in a way. Like they both were. They were both the underdogs. Everyone underestimated them and they made it to the fucking end, man. Both of them. And I loved that it was her that actually killed him, and like he wanted that. Like he was like, if anyone was going to kill me, I wanted it to be you, essentially. And I was like, okay.
I know, that pulled on my heartstrings a little bit when he said that. There were like 2 or 3 parts in this book that got me like, oh, I didn't cry.
I mean, she showed him a lot of respect in that moment too, though, because they were all laughing at him and she was like, nope, you're not dying like that.
You're gonna fight me.
Yep. We're gonna fight.
Well, because he even said like, oh, do you pity me? And she was like, no, I don't. Like, I think you're a strong fighter. You've made it this far. Let's go out swinging and I will kill you with respect. Essentially,
go out like a warrior.
Funny.
Like, let's not,
Yes. I'm not
we're
gonna...
having an I'm having another one of those moments where I don't remember which book it was that we talked about, where I have a very hard time with a human main character being able to, maybe it was Bryce, I don't remember. No, she wasn't human, she was half in that, whatever. Being able to like compete with and even fight with a being that is physically so much stronger. And I know she used that to like her advantage the whole time because people just underestimate her. But sometimes I have a hard time believing those kind of stories just because it just doesn't seem like realistic. You know?
But then you find out she's half, so she's probably actually a lot stronger.
She has moments too where they show she pulled like a doorknob or a window or something, like ripped it off, and she was like,
yes, correct.
Oh,
I know. And they very briefly like go over it and you're like, huh.
Well, and she was of both worlds, but not a part of either.
Yes.
She was
had
human, but didn't feel human.
Human body, vampire heart.
Yes. But yeah, she wasn't a vampire. So it'll be interesting to see if she like doesn't age then, kind of like in Twilight, the halflings don't age.
Like well, and did you notice that she loved the taste of his blood?
I did notice that, but I was just like, is it tasty because you love him? I like biting Jeff more than I like biting other people. Is it just like that?
Yeah, but to a normal human, that would make you throw up because your body is not allowed to ingest.
I don't care
any kind of blood.
how much I like biting my husband. I think his blood tastes good.
No.
Like that feels.
I don't want to taste the blood. I just want to bite.
That's a
I just want
topic
to bite
we need to
harder.
steer clear of.
You and your little munching.
I'm gonna vomit.
Don't do it.
Moving on.
Don't do it.
No more of that
Okay,
talk.
so speaking of powerful, as a night-born vampire, meaning that you're from the House of Night, you can have like I think at least two different kinds of power if you do have power. There's the Astrus, which is like the power of stars. It's like one of the more powerful magical gifts that they could have. Pure
Does not
energy.
everyone have that?
I don't think so because it's rare.
It doesn't seem like it. Mm-hmm.
Or if they
Yeah.
did, it was just like a little tiny spark.
When Nightfire,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not to the degree that Vincent and Rain had by
Yeah.
any means.
Mm-hmm. But then Nightfire is also, I don't know if other people had it because I remember it being in the book a lot, but it's supposed to be really
It was
powerful also.
only
And rare, I thought that was also supposed to be
Yeah.
very rare.
yes.
So I don't know.
It was, and only one type of vampire had it. Was it just
The Nightborns. Because the
Yeah.
Shadowborn
Yeah.
had mind powers, and then the
Mhm.
Bloodborn have
And then
blood.
Bloodborne
Yes.
had blood powers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense. It'd be like more based off the stars and the moon. I don't know if there's any moon stuff. But this Nightfire totally reminded me of like Hellfire. Like just like how intense it was, and like the damage it can do. And
well, and she obviously has it to a much greater degree than anyone else, if that's the case, because I don't think anyone else can put their entire freaking body on fire and like
and be fine.
Yeah, because they all looked at her like, oh
Yeah.
my, what?
But
like,
Vincent was so proud of her. He's like, I knew you had it in you.
Well, and so was Rain. He looked at her in
He was like, oh my God, you're so sexy. That's what he said.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
The way she described the way he looked at her many times, I was like, oof, okay, sir.
Moments were good.
Yes. I like the little
Yeah.
quips he had whenever they were just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he cooked her food and she's like, oh my God, this tastes so good. He's like, that's not how I imagined I'd make you come for the first time. Like, I was like, oh, calm down,
And
sir.
the fact that it like slipped out, he was like, like he got kind of like embarrassed, not embarrassed, but like kind of like, oh shit,
Oh,
I
shit.
just said that.
I said that out loud, yeah. Well, and then she would just like skate over it, like, not gonna acknowledge that.
Yeah,
I noticed, but I'm not gonna say anything.
I liked their they just had so much tension, and I don't even like know what it was. It was just like,
but it was
closeless, but not touching. I don't know. It was just really, really good tension. So by the time they come together, it was like
they came to fucking together.
Yeah, and
There's
it was
a
not
list.
quick.
Yeah, they did.
There's a fucking list.
I know. They like
when he said that, I was
funny.
like,
oh damn.
I know. I
The
know.
man's got
I
a
do
list.
love that.
Ma'am, he has a list.
But it was so funny because I, of course, had that part playing on audiobook.
Luckily, you're just at home.
Because and I think Davida dropped his dad off at the airport. That's what it was. I was like, because I was by myself, but I think I had just finished feeding her, and I was like, oh, I'll just like let it play. And I was just like, oh, so sorry, baby. Let me please.
That would be a weird part to nurse too.
I just try not. I didn't think about it too hard in that way. What I really want to talk about is Misha.
Oh, loved her.
I loved her so much.
I want to know when she turned. Like, how much of a human is she still?
Yeah, because she seems to be quite a little babe still. Because it was after he got out of his imprisonment, essentially. So it had to have been in the last roughly 120 years.
But then he like went back to where his wife and child
he had
was.
done that.
That didn't go well.
And then he did some traveling.
Yeah.
And then he ran into her, right?
I want to know.
So,
I want to know who turned her, because
didn't they say it was? Oh, they didn't say who. It was just how it happened, because she was what was she?
A temple person, a temple priestess for the Truxus.
That's right.
Yeah, she was a priestess.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And that's why I think she was able to wield regular fire, like sun fire, instead of
Yes.
Nyaxia's gifts because
until he stopped.
But then he, like, abandoned her.
Mhm.
I hated that. She was so devastated. That broke my heart. Like, that felt like a very, when you have a really horrible breakup you didn't expect to come, and there's just that raw emotion. That's what it felt like.
But I want to know why he abandoned her. Do you think he realized that she was in Nyaxia's trial and that upset him? Because obviously Nyaxia is very much so on the outs with all of the white pantheon gods. So do you think he abandoned her because of that?
I think that she knew how to
I
wield
don't
the power
know.
because she just knew how to. Like, she was able to tap into it, like power is just there or whatever. And it took her a while, from what I remember, to do it. But I think that, I don't know.
She made it seem like she had always been able to. Like, she was like, it's just there. It's just a part of me. But
yeah, but also it hurt her.
Yeah. Well, and the humans, I mean, obviously they were trying to teach Oraya how to use magic. So it's obviously humans can use magic. They just aren't expected to be able to have very much of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like it was from her human time, went into her vampire time, and then it eventually, he was like,
wait a minute,
no more. And maybe it like got to the point where enough of her humanity had like
left her.
left.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That he finally was
or
like,
the fact that she's
nah.
a vampire, because once again, that's one of Nyaxia's children.
Yeah, but you know how they talk about how like when they're newly changed or whatever, their blood is still reddish.
Mhm.
So like that's why I'm like, is it just like this?
Yeah.
We were far enough along in it. He finally was like, nah, you too far gone now.
Yeah.
No more fire for you. Like, I don't know. Or if it was just like a spite.
Do you think the gods are going to play a large role in this series as a whole?
Oh, no.
I mean, I definitely think they'll play a role. I don't think it's huge.
Do you think that there's any possibility of Oraya being some form of god?
No.
No.
I don't think so. Because, man, the way they fucking described Nyaxia was wild. So, no, I just get the vibe she's just super duper powerful. But I don't know that she'll be a
Well, Nyaxia went through a
like
fucking ton of everything.
She was a lesser goddess to begin with.
Born
she
to
was just a lesser goddess.
She was less than a lesser. And then her journey through getting to become this powerful goddess, like I don't know if Oraya could do all the things that she had to do to get to where she is.
Well, she did.
I know, but you'd have to kill a bunch of gods to do it. Like, she didn't really do it. She just killed other vampires.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like that would be a similar equivalent for like human versus vampires as
true
lesser gods to real god. I don't know.
I also kind of thought that she was gonna kill Nyaxia in that last moment when she's like, what I really want. Like, I thought she was gonna stab Nyaxia.
I did not think that.
Yeah, but the way she even said if like the ecstasy she would feel if Nyaxia took like essentially killed her, I was like, that is a weird
yeah, she was very enamored. Like drawn to her.
But that's what Nyaxia does. This is like the gift that she also gave to her children, the vampires, is to become this person that everyone is so drawn to, and that's how they become like the prey. But okay, so when Misha, when the whole moon palace or moon castle or moon whatever it is, when that caught on fire, there was an attack on it, and then she was in that circle with a bunch of golden candles, and she said that he didn't come, but there were like 4 demons in there, but they weren't the bloodborne demons who the curse had taken over. They were a different kind of demons. What kind of demons did you think they were? Were they the Atraxis demons, or did you think? I thought she summoned them, and that's what started this whole thing. I did not realize. I mean, later on they said that she was trying to summon her god for the power to save her.
I did kind of think that she had accidentally started the fire because the fact they talk about like the candles tipped over and all of that. I don't know that I caught on that they were different demons than the blood demons. because I think I thought they were the blood demons because I thought that, and even still, I think I thought that because wasn't it the blood vampires that set the attack?
It was the Bloodborne that did set it, like Septimus, their leader or whatever. He is the one who they think started this whole thing. But I could have sworn that Oraya had made that observation, like these aren't like the normal Bloodborne demons that I've seen before.
I don't know. They run into a lot of different types of demons. I feel like
I was gonna
throughout
say, I feel like they do run
the whole
into
thing.
many.
I know that Nyaxia has her whole like vendetta against the Bloodborne vampires. Do you think that's why she basically had scores of dead and cursed blood vampires? Because in almost every trial, she uses like a version of a bloodborne vampire, like either as a demon or as a corpse. She has a lot of them.
I mean, she definitely
She doesn't like them. They're not her favorite.
Very resentful.
They used to be her favorite, right? And then they like tried to.
They said that they felt
abuse
that
her gifts
she
or like rise up against
abandoned them, and so they turned on her, and so she cursed them for doing so.
Which is their curse.
So that's their curse. Is now they have like this
where they like lose their mind, right? Essentially,
yes. Like it's worse
become
than
that
bloodlust.
weird demon-y thing.
Yep.
Yeah. That's intense. Septimus gives Draco Malfoy vibes.
Oh.
And not in like the hot
like
way.
an older version? Because when you say Draco Malfoy, I only think of a baby. I only think of a little
maybe even
child.
his dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say
maybe his dad.
Vendetta against the Bloodborne vampires. Do you think that's why she basically had scores of dead and cursed blood vampires? Because in almost every trial, she uses like a version of a bloodborne vampire, like either as a demon or as a corpse. She has a lot of them.
I mean, she definitely.
She doesn't like them. They're not her favorite.
Yeah, very
no.
resentful.
They used to be her favorite, right? And then they like tried to.
They said that they felt
abuse
that
her gifts
she
or like rise up
abandoned them, and so they turned on her, and so she cursed them for doing so. So that's their curse. Is now they have like this
where they like lose their mind, right? Essentially,
yeah,
like it's worse
become
than bloodlust.
That weird demon-y thing. That's intense. Septimus gives Draco Malfoy vibes.
Oh,
and not in like the hot
like
way.
an older version. Because when you say Draco Malfoy, I only think of a baby. I only think of a little
maybe even
child.
his dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say
maybe his dad
Malfoy vibes
with his cigarillos. He was creepy too.
He's bad news. Big.
Oh my god!
News.
Did you expect Ione to die so early?
Ione?
I'm saying her name wrong. What's her name?
I was like, Ione is from our last book.
That's why I was like,
Alana.
where am I pulling that? Alana. Jesus. See, yeah, I'm pulling from the last one.
Sure did not.
I thought she was gonna escape.
I thought she was having a vision. I thought she was like hallucinating it.
Yeah, in the trial.
Yes, I thought that until
it was like a distant voice, and I was like, oh, the palace is playing games on her like it did with the stairs. But then when I was like, wait, no, this is like real, I was like, damn, I'm like 6% into this book, and this just goes so wild.
I know, it was so sad.
It was really sad.
It was. That's not one of the things that made me cry, though.
Well, no, because like, yes,
we weren't attached to her
that they were.
I think my three parts where I got a little tearful was when Ibrahim was like, "I'm glad it was you who kills me," and then when Vincent dies, I got a little tearful, and then also when
told you it was sad.
Raihn died.
Did you think he was actually going to be dead?
He died. Yes, I thought he died. I didn't think he was going to stay dead.
I mean, he did die.
Yeah.
But
he did die.
I was like, okay, he's dead. He's going to be back in like 5 minutes.
Could you imagine if he didn't? Like, what if she actually just killed him and that was done?
No.
Guys, think of people freaking reading Game of Thrones, and you're just like, that didn't just happen. You just killed off the main character left and right.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
he does thrive off that.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
That these guys like are romantics.
He could have died.
Yeah, so you're like, there's no way he stays dead.
no. You're right. There's no way that he stays dead. Obviously, he didn't, but I still didn't think that was going to
Did
be her
you
wish.
pick up that's what he was doing, though? That he was baiting her,
Yes.
and then that he made, like, a little deal during
Yes.
that and
100%.
all of that? Yeah.
I did not understand when Angelica,
Angelica?
I want to say Angelica because I feel like that's probably the easier way to say it.
But it
with
might be
the K
Angelica, but
throws me
I'm
off.
saying
I can't
Angelica.
remember how they say it. I
Yeah.
can look.
I'm gonna say
But
Angelica.
for some reason in my head, when it was all happening in the end, I did not make the connection that Septimus was there and she was looking over the shoulder at Septimus and he was like, "You're gonna die," and she's like, "Got it. Good luck to you," and then dies.
Yeah.
I know. That whole thing was fucking
But
wild.
the
Where
fact that
she's
she
like,
was
"Okay, here
so
I go,"
willing,
like,
like it was not even a problem. Yeah, sure, I'll die. Go ahead. Yep.
even though she was so resentful of
But was that her choice or did he blood control
No.
her?
I was gonna say, I don't think it was really
I
of
think he blood
choice.
controlled her.
I don't know if he blood controlled her.
She just stopped fighting.
But she still was like, "Good luck." I feel like he told her that we
Yeah.
are making this deal. You are the sacrifice so that we can have some sort of power again because what's his name is taking it.
But what's confusing to me is the fact that Rain had not made that decision yet. He obviously made it in the like he had told him no, and he made it in the moment there in the ring. But yet, all those Bloodborne soldiers were just there
Oh
outside,
no, he was
ready
betting
to
on
freaking.
him. That's just the thing. Septimus says, "Oh, he said I never make a bet that I will lose." He's like, "I will never," and he's
True.
like, "And every bet that I've made
That's true.
for Oraya has been a good bet," and so
Because he's essentially set those up in a certain way.
Yeah, but
like,
also
to some degree,
Yeah.
obviously.
Savranage
Mm-hmm.
has some serious security issues if an entire ass fucking army can come in.
Yes, especially
is a city.
since it was already considered wartime.
And they like
yeah,
sit on two different. Yeah, I'm like, you just let all of these I mean, maybe they were off annihilating another city because that's what they were doing at the time. So
But I
maybe
also
he
don't-
retreated all of his.
I don't think that Vincent was looking at the Bloodborne vampires. He was looking at the Rashawn vampires because that's the one who's always having the rebellion. So maybe because no one was watching them and worried about them and everyone was welcome into the city for this event, then and
Big
they felt
dumb.
like
Yeah.
and there's not any more
Big
Rashawn.
dumb.
Yeah. I don't know.
Can we talk about her lover?
Oh, the one who bit her
That
when
was such
they
a
were
sad
16.
story. Like, I
Yeah.
get it got very non-consensual, but this is going to sound bad because I'm not making excuses for him, but it felt very like out of his hands also because he was like a turned
Absolutely.
vampire that didn't understand that that was going to happen. The whole thing was so sad. Like
Mhm.
so sad for her
Yes.
for her first time and her like loving this boy or thinking she loves him, and it's so sad for him not realizing that he was going to completely get out of control and that was going to happen.
Well, it's because
and
he
then
broke her hymen
having-
and she started to bleed. If she already had primed that thing, then
that detail I was like, whoo.
But I mean, it's really what triggered it. It was because of her bleeding.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
But the other part that was really terrible was when Vincent said, "I have a gift for you. Come with me to the throne room."
Mhm.
And then her lover is there on his hands and knees, like crying and begging for forgiveness and saying he didn't mean to do it. He didn't think it was going to be that
Mhm.
way. He loves her. He loves her. And Vincent's like, "Nope, you fucked up. I told you not to let anyone in your heart. You're not safe with anybody. So now you got to stab him. You got to go stab him in the heart. And this is how you do it. And when you do it, look him in the eye."
It was so sad.
know.
That whole part.
Well, because, I mean, she even made the comment that she knew that that was out of his control to some degree. Like, that wasn't even, like, just how you felt, Kayla. Like, she even kind of acknowledged, like, no, it wasn't okay, but
Mm-hmm.
he was newly turned.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, again, why she was just so hesitant to trust anyone and couldn't fathom anyone would have the level of control that Rain really ended up having, because
Mhm.
she was like, no one can have control.
I
Like,
was actually surprised that she was able to then be intimate with Rain with him being a vampire, just because you would think that that would have sparked
I don't know. I think he showed a
whole
lot of
PTSD.
restraint and control around
So
her
much
so far.
restraint.
There's been lots of times where
Yes.
she's been bleeding around him and he's done nothing to show
Yep.
her that he was out of control or anything like that. So I
Yep.
am not surprised by it.
Even when he was like borderline
Yep. Starving.
in bloodlust. Is that what they?
Yeah.
Himself. He still had.
He didn't want to
an
leave her.
exceptional amount of
Incredible
control.
control.
Yeah.
I know that
Well,
was sad.
and then before they even had sex, like he ended up feeding off of her while
Let's
basically
talk about that scene because
that
holy
scene.
shit, that was hot.
Mhm.
But like he was in bloodlust,
No.
still managed to stop
Sexy.
feeding off of her. So like to then be able to have sex with him, I felt like they had to have that moment where she knew
He could stop
even
himself
when he's that gone, he could stop himself
before she
to
got
then
hurt.
be like, okay, yes, we can have sex. And like
And
the whole time, I mean, he had that freaking, I mean, she had a knife at one point.
No,
I
that
love
shit
that.
got
And the
forgotten.
fact that he was so about control for her. Like you are in control, and the fact that he knew that his venom made it to where she wasn't fully in control of herself.
no. She was
And
fucking
so-
horny as shit. That's what his venom did.
Mhm.
And she was
But-
like rocking on that dick. That's what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was.
That was hilarious. Can you imagine?
Yes.
Like, I mean, yes, obviously. But like the next morning, waking up and being like, oh my God, I did that. Like,
Mhm.
to know you really, I mean, not that she didn't want to do that, but like she wouldn't have done that otherwise.
She was drunk off lust
in that moment.
and her inhibitions
Yes.
were dismissed and she was just going. And she was like, yes, lick my neck, baby. And I don't even feel like he was drinking the whole time. He was definitely giving her a hickey because he was, it wasn't just a, I'm going to eat you bite. This was a fucking love bite to her throat. And he was caressing the little other scar she had from her previous lover. So now she's got two lovers, marks.
Well, because I mean, it had a very similar effect to him. Like, I know he wasn't getting venom, but drinking off of her also made him horny.
I don't know.
Like,
No,
I think he was just.
I think it was her grinding on him.
Yes.
Yeah, but like it talks about him essentially being hard.
Oh yeah.
Before she started grinding on it, though, and I felt like that was almost immediate.
It's her.
Yeah, he's been wanting her body, and he has a fucking list. He has a list. Okay, and
There's a list.
Veronica wants the list.
I want to see.
I want
what's on this list. I need to see.
I want to know how many things were checked off the list that night.
Oh my gosh, at least 4.
I mean, they were doing some of them. That's for sure.
But yeah, that
I also
was
I loved that she was like, I'm not shy. Like, maybe I've only been with one other person before, but you can figure a lot out on your own. Like,
I know.
I was like, get it, girl.
Yeah, girl.
It makes me blush a little bit.
Of all of us, what?
Because it was so good. Like, it was good. It was intense.
Oh,
it was
and
good.
It wasn't like the icky kind of raunchy, you know. It was just fucking good.
No, it was good. The verbiage was good. Just like
the imagery in my brain,
it really was a well written. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It was one of the better written ones for sure. And we've read a lot. So
I know, but I think it's
actually
been a while since we've read something like this. At least it has been for me.
That had
When the Moon Hatch would be the last one.
That's what I was going to say. When the Moon Hatch is what it's in my mind, because that was a very well written sex scene.
I think the last.
And it was also long.
Yeah. I think the last really smutty book that I read was Of Darkness and Ruination. And that was fucking smut.
That one was smutty.
That's smut.
So it was like the whole book long.
Yeah, where this one's more like, where this one's more like one epic one in the first book.
Yeah.
Kind of like when the Moon Hatch, it was like this epic moment that you finally got to experience it.
Wouldn't it be funny?
Veronica's still thinking about it over there.
Wouldn't it be funny
I just
if
feel like she's
people
staring off the disc.
measured
It's like, man.
if people measured the length of intimacy based on like, oh, are you a
That's
chapter?
not where I thought you were.
Or are you a two
Kayla and I were like,
chapter?
the length of what?
I was like, I'm pretty sure people do measure it, Veronica.
Like,
Guys definitely
book
measure
length,
it.
yeah. Like, how long do you usually go?
Yeah, it needs to be proportionate. It needs to be a long enough length for the proportion of how long we waited
Yes.
and how big the book is.
God,
Yeah.
now every time you say how big the book is, I don't think a book is the last word you're gonna say. I'm just messed up.
I mean, I haven't thought that any times you guys have said how big blank. I'm like, my brain fills that in differently every time.
Well, yeah,
What
when
is-
you said, do you think anyone measures? I was like, yes, I do. I think they measure.
I don't think it. I know they do, but I was just talking about like the intimacy level in real life. Do women be like, is he a 2-chapter guy or is he like a whole book guy? Like how dirty we get in here? Like that. That's what I want to know.
Mm.
Rain's got a whole book vibe to him for sure.
Ooh, that list.
I mean,
But I don't
yeah.
think that's
Who
what
has
we're
a-
necessarily gonna get.
No. That'd just be boring.
I was gonna say, because again, unless you're going in thinking this is smut, this is what I'm getting, most of the time I'm like, oh, it's overdone. If it gets to that point where they're having sex all the time, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I like.
now it doesn't feel special anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I need it to still feel special.
There's
I
only
need to
so
feel
many like
special.
adjectives you can use.
Agreed.
Okay, so when Nyaxia came and she's like, oh, she has your eyes. I was like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Mhm. You didn't connect
No,
that.
I
at
thought it was like a
all?
joke. Like, I don't know.
No.
As soon
every-
as she said that, I was like, oh fuck.
No.
Yeah.
I was like,
I-
that's a weird thing. That's a weird thing to say.
Everything she said had a meaning behind it of some kind. She alluded to a lot in her weird verbiage to Oraya, which Oraya was just aloof to most of. But everything she said was pretty like there was a reason for it.
Mhm.
She's a very intelligent goddess. She knows what the fuck's going on.
She likes
so-
chaos though.
Oh yeah, she
Yeah,
likes to
she
watch her kids
does, which is
fight,
why she
and I
was
hate it. I hate watching my kids fight. I'm like, we gotta
I
just
know,
shut
but
the
that's
fuck
why
up.
she was very happy to oblige in bringing him back. She's like, oh yeah, this will fuck some shit up. Let's go.
Oh my god. Well, okay, so
And she's like, you should have let the lover stay dead, girl.
Well, and then she says to him something like, "What? I haven't seen one of your kind in an age or something like that." Like,
yeah.
oh, I thought she was saying I haven't seen, like, it's been a while since I've seen you. Like they've met before or something, and he's like, yeah, I know. Was that not part of it? Did I read that wrong? Maybe I did.
I think that's what she said, and I at first thought that, but looking back at it now, I think she's talking about him being heir. Like, I haven't seen one of your kind, like an heir to the Rishon.
Yeah,
in a while.
that was
I hope
that threw me off
in this
too.
next book, Oraya gives him a little shit. Like, if she is just playing house with him like nothing fucking happened, I'm gonna be a little upset. I kind of
Yeah.
hope she puts him through it a little bit.
I do, but then I also don't, because one of the things that I hate whenever I'm reading something is like, okay, we've made all this progress, and yes, you just killed a dad, but I hate where they just hold that grudge and that's all that it is anymore. And then I'm like, can we just move on? There's only so many fucking chapters that I can read about.
Yeah, that I get. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but there needs to be a little bit.
Yes, a little bit.
It's not she can be like, oh my god, yeah, I love you.
No,
We're married now.
but,
even though I
like,
didn't wanna.
That one book that we read, was it Heat of the Everflame? Where she was like in denial about who, like, her being a fae or whatever. And you're like, that's like my least favorite trope, is the denial trope. And she did it. The whole book, she was just in
Mhm.
denial.
I mean, yeah, no, that whole series she was in denial about.
And I just don't-
Well, not the whole series,
It felt,
but
I know,
a while she was in
but
denial.
I just don't want it to be like that, where it's a majority of this
No.
book. We're just gonna.
I don't
mean,
think it will
can't
be
that
because
much
because
it's only a
duology.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's only a duology, so you gotta
I know.
get past it eventually.
I know.
Because it's still a romantasy. They still gotta be good by the end, at least.
Hopefully, because I want to see this list.
You're so. I love you're like, I just need the list and I'll be good.
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
some like descriptions of the things that are on this list would be good too. But I just really want to
Not just the
know,
list.
like, how he's been
Yeah.
thinking about this list a long time, and
Maybe that's how he's gonna get her back. He's just gonna slip like
Ooh.
one of the lists under her door every night, like
This is on my list.
Huh.
just letting
Yeah.
you know.
I wonder if that would work for anybody. Do you think that would really work? Okay, in real life, do you think if you were mad at Kyle and he just like, I want to do this dirty thing to you on a piece of paper, you'd be like, yeah, come on in. I forgive you. Or be like, fuck this.
No.
Nah. It'd go
Yeah.
rip.
I'd be like,
good luck, bud.
I'd be like, good, I'm glad. Wham, yeah, rip it in front of him. I'm a little ruthless like that though. But no, she's like
I would do the same thing if I was mad.
Like
I'd be
a
like, ha ha ha, bud, don't
horny
think so.
freaking half vampire, whatever she is.
She's just
She
in
got that
love.
good for the first time,
God,
and
It was good.
she's gonna want some more.
Yeah, I want some more.
I want some more. Oh my god,
Okay.
we haven't really gone super into any of the trials.
Mm-mm.
Was there any part of any of the trials that like surprised you guys as far as like what they had to do? Or I thought was it the half moon where they were in each other's minds? I thought that was dope as shit.
Their
Yeah.
minds
I thought that
and
was
their bodies. They
such-
could like feel each other's like pains or whatever.
Yes.
I was trying to imagine how disorienting that would be.
I kept viewing it like two TVs in my brain.
Yeah.
Where like there's what I'm seeing and what I'm seeing through another like that's how I was
Yeah.
processing that. But yeah, very confusing.
Yeah.
Especially when they were both fighting. I was like, how?
Mhm.
How are you not fucking up more?
Mhm.
I would have died
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think
Not
I mean
that I
a
can
lot of
fight
them
anyway,
did die
but-
like that. So
Yes. Well, yeah, because some of them were in groups of more than two.
that'd be
Like, can you imagine
yeah.
having like
Everybody's brain in your
that
head.
many?
So, sorry, this just popped in my head kind of random. They all knew him. They all knew Raihn. They knew his last name. They knew about
Nessanin.
whatever the queen. So one, they knew that she was queen. They knew that he was a slave to the previous Rishon king. Did they just not know that he was turned? Because if they knew he was turned, then they should have known that he was an heir.
No, I don't think that
I
they
think the
knew that they-
Rishon
turned
did,
him.
but like all of these people, I mean, I know they took away the ability to have an heir. Like that was a part of what he asked Nyaxia for, was like taking away the Rishon heir, which is what Raihn then reversed. Like they took away the power or whatever, and that's why like it went
Oh.
red when it hadn't been before.
I didn't know that he took away the power for them to make an heir. I think he went to go
It took
kill
away
all
the
heirs.
Rishon power, like the royal. It took away the royal power.
Yes, but
which
it
is
didn't.
what gives them the heir mark. And then he went and killed all of them. So he thought that he had like double whammied, they're done. So even though Raihn was the heir, he still did not have the power to then take on the king.
I don't think
So that's what he.
that him becoming powerful enough to kill the Rishon line took away the Rishon heir. I feel like he had to kill all of them in order for them not to have an heir available for the power to get passed on to.
But he specifically asked to reverse what Vincent did. Like when Raihn asks for his thing from Nyaxia, he says that he wants to reverse what Vincent did and give back the Rishon power.
Give them
And
the
then
power.
his heir mark shows up. Then his heir mark shows up and he has immeasurable power.
But
at
I
that
thought he
point.
already had the air mark on him because they tried burning it off
It
his
wasn't
body.
red.
No, he burned it off his
wasn't
body.
red.
He burned it off his bot.
It said it took
Yeah.
him a long time to burn it off his body.
But it was now red and pulsing the way that Vincent's did. It wasn't like that before. Even though he
Yeah.
burnt it, he didn't like burn that away. It didn't have the power.
No, because you're not the royal line. So he took the royal line power from him, is how I understood. And then he's like, I want that back. I want the Rishons to be back in power, not necessarily take the power to make an heir or whatever. Because then how did Oraya become an heir? If he took the power
he didn't
away.
take away the power to become they always both had double heirs.
Yeah,
There was always
there was
more
two
than
air
one
lines.
Always. There was a Rishon heir and a Night heir.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Which
They
is why
took
there was that
away
tumultuous
the power for them to have an heir. That power that passed down through the royal line, he asked to take that away.
So then why did he
And
kill
then he
everybody?
killed
to prevent this exact scenario.
Because they were
'Cause then
already
they
in
could-
power at that time. So that took them out of the castle. It allowed them from being able to rise up again. It made it to where, they couldn't go into the Kajari and do exactly what Raihn did, because they would just go and flip it back.
I think it's amazing how we can all read the same words, but how I comprehend it and how you guys comprehend it is so fucking different. Because I was like, that's not how I read it.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and how you're saying is not how I read it at all either.
no.
I read it like he physically took away that power, and then he just got the power back.
I don't know.
Yeah, because otherwise he would have been way more powerful all throughout.
Yep. God, if they have babies, though. Whew. It's a combination, which, that's going to happen.
Which one do you get? Just whoever dies first, you get that one? Like, or can you have both?
I didn't. Okay, so at the end, after Raihn gets brought back to life, because Oraya's wish was that he had won the, what's it called? The tournament. She should have just said, I wish he was alive instead. I thought Nyaxia was going to kill Oraya. Like, okay, if you wanted him to win, then I'm going to kill you instead. There can only be one winner.
So did I.
And so that one kind of threw me for a loop. But then after all of the Bloodborne like took over and started killing everybody in the tournament arena or whatever, and then his people came down into that area and they were trying to kill the new heir, Oraya. And then he's like, I'm just going to marry her and I'm going to rape her. Just like Vincent did our people. I'm like, I don't like this guy. I don't like him. I don't like this version
Raihn?
of him. It was real gross.
Yep.
I didn't love it.
I know, and that's kind of like what we're then going into with book 2. Yes, we know he was putting on a performance.
He just really wants to protect her.
And like still inevitably forced her to marry him. But
see 200 years ago you came to this place and granted the winner of the Kajari a wish. You sealed away the power of the Rishon Nightborn king. I wish for that power, my lady. I wish for it to be restored to the Rishon heir line. I wish for it to be restored to me.
So it was sealed away. He didn't steal it.
No, it was sealed away because he was already the heir for that side. Well, he made sure of that by killing everyone else that could have taken that title. But he wished for that power to be taken from the other side. So there was no one that could even compare to his power, try to fight him for the crown, basically.
So, okay, hold on. You said that he wished for the Rishon power to be sealed away. That's what Vincent wished for.
Sealed away the power of the Rishon Nightborn king.
So it did not go into the Hiaj king, Vincent. He just was powerful anyway.
No, he was already powerful.
He had his airline's power.
But they said that he was blessed by Nyaxia.
Killing everyone else.
That was the wish that she granted him.
Was
basically taking away his opposition, and then anyone he had that the air power, like the Nightborn king power.
Yeah.
Is so great that no one can even come close to like challenging you for it. And that's why they all kill their own family, because it could fall to anyone within that line. So he made sure that there was no one else that it could fall to.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's okay. But then they got married and I feel like he wanted to save her. I feel like that was his ultimate intent. But then again, she's with another male. All they want is to protect her, but they're doing it the wrong way.
Kind of created another, not a Vincent because he's not nearly as bad as Vincent, I don't think. Yet. Even though he puts on a performance. But yeah, you kind of like went into another scenario where you're being controlled to some degree.
Well, and he didn't listen to her at all. She was like, no, I'm not doing that. And he was like, too bad. Yeah, you are.
I know, but at least she kept her heart.
She got to keep her heart.
I love that.
Oh my gosh.
I love that he didn't like fight her on that at all. He was just like, yeah, pass over that part then. I was like, what? Okay. Weird. Skip that one vow that doesn't really apply.
That was, like she just had such a hard time saying that part. And I'm like, he kind of did have like, you love him. Like,
well, and like you're chill with giving your soul, but not your heart. Like,
yeah.
to me, that feels bigger, but that's just me.
I mean, technically, you could live without your soul in some books. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Vampires, they're heartless anyway.
But they're not, though, right? So, like, they say that whatever, love is dangerous, but they still love people. Because, what's it called? Vincent loved Oraya.
Well, and sadly, even though she wasn't his demise, technically she kind of was. In her love. Like, his reaction. I love that she looked him in the eye as she wished for Raihn to have won. And he just went white or whatever. I was like, oh. She's like, if I'm fucking you over, I'm fucking you over in your like I'm looking at you while I do it. I was like, damn, girl, your dad really taught you to do that.
Well, and then so she like kept killing people after she killed her lover, because she did that when she was like 16 or so. And then she said that she'd still been killing vampires for like 6 years, 4 months, and something days. And I was like, dang, she really keeping track. But in all that time, that's how she learned how to kill more efficiently, and doing it in the heart and making sure that she looked at them in the eyes. That was wild. Ooh, what did you think of their training regimen of Oraya's and Raihn's?
I love when they transition to the city. I thought that was very, very cute. I also loved, I'm just a sucker, when he saved the girl for her. I mean, like, she saved the girl. Don't get me wrong. She saved the girl, but he then wrapped it up. I also love that she's like, well, what do you want me to say? Thank you? And he was like, God damn, girl,
you can't win.
Can't win with you. And she's like, no.
But he liked it. He liked it. Every time she got kind of like spicy with him, he's like, there she is. And I was like, oh.
I know, which I love that too. I was like, stop it.
Yeah.
It's so cute. He loves her feistiness, which, yes.
Good. You should love
Don't be too much for your man. Be exactly what you are.
I like spicy.
We all like spicy because we all are spicy. Let's be real.
Yep.
That's why we get along so well.
I like this.
Y'all relate in that way.
At least we're okay with it, right? Okay. That's it for today. We will be releasing the next podcast 2 weeks from today, November 21st. We'll be discussing the second book of the Crowns of Nyaxia, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, written by Carissa Broadbent. Also, if you like what you hear, then please share it with your friends. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all major streaming platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, book besties.